I'm 72 years old. Saying that aloud feels strange. Time has a way of sneaking up on you, even when you think you're paying attention. When I was younger, 72 felt impossibly far away, almost like a number in someone else's life. And yet, here I am, looking back over decades, feeling both gratitude and regret, trying to make sense of what I've learned. People often ask me what advice I would give if I could go back to talk to my younger self. Most expect something dramatic, like don't marry the wrong person or don't make that career mistake. But the truth is, it's simpler than that. And also far more important. It's something so quiet that most people ignore it until it's too late. I wish someone had told me to pay attention to the small, ordinary choices, the ones that don't seem life-changing at the time, because they add up, over weeks, over years, over decades. They quietly shape the story of your life, whether you notice or not. When I was in my 20s, I thought life was a series of milestones. Graduate, get a job, fall in love, maybe travel a bit, then finally live. I spent so much energy planning for the future that I forgot to live in the present. I remember my first apartment, small, almost bare. I had dreams bigger than the space itself. I convinced myself that if I worked hard, paid attention to every detail, and followed the right path, life would eventually feel complete. It didn't. Not yet. I filled my days with busy work, with the illusion of progress. I chased approval from people who didn't matter, worried about things that wouldn't even be remembered, and postponed the moments that would have made life truly full. By my 30s and 40s, the pattern continued. Responsibilities multiplied. Bills, work, family, obligations. I thought I was being responsible. I thought I was building a life worth living. But in truth, I was just trading my most valuable resource, time, for things that offered temporary satisfaction but no lasting meaning. I postponed conversations with friends. I postponed quiet evenings. I postponed experiences that I told myself I could do later, but later didn't come as I imagined. One of the hardest lessons came when I realized that people I loved, the ones I counted on to share life's quiet joys, wouldn't wait forever. Relationships require attention, care, presence, and if you ignore them, even for just a few months, the chance can slip away, quietly, without warning. I lost friends I thought would always be there. I missed moments with family because I was too busy preparing for the right time. And when I finally looked up, I understood something painful. The right time rarely arrives. I also wish someone had told me to take my own happiness seriously, to understand that it isn't found in approval, productivity, or possessions. I spent so many years trying to fit into expectations that weren't mine. I measured myself by other people's standards and paid the price in stress, anxiety, and missed experiences. The truth is simple. Happiness isn't something you chase. It's something you cultivate. It grows from small, intentional moments. A conversation, a walk, a quiet morning with no agenda. And yet, I ignored that wisdom for decades, thinking I had plenty of time to figure it out later. Another lesson I learned too late is about health. Not just physical health, but mental and emotional well-being. When you're young, your body feels invincible. You skip meals, ignore aches, and assume tomorrow will fix what today wears down. I wish someone had told me that taking care of yourself isn't selfish, that investing in your body and mind pays dividends in ways that money and work never can. By the time I started paying attention, some of those dividends had already been lost. And then there's time itself, how it slips silently, quietly, invisibly, until one day you notice the years behind you. You can't slow it down. You can't pause it. You can only choose how to spend the moments you still have. I spent too much of mine distracted. Distracted by work, by worry, by the trivialities that seemed urgent but weren't. And in my 70s, I finally see what matters. Presence, connection, and understanding that life is not a series of milestones. It's the small, lived moments that truly define it. I want to share this with you because I hope you can notice the lessons before it's too late. I hope you can take action in your 20s, 30s, 40s, or 50s, so you don't need to look back like me at 72 and say, I wish someone told me this earlier. Life is not measured by the things we accumulate, the positions we reach, or the accolades we earn. It is measured by the moments we live fully, the people we love, and the courage to be ourselves. And yet, I can feel the weight of all the years spent ignoring these truths. That's the part no one warns you about. The quiet sorrow of knowing that time has passed, and the lessons you finally understand came too late to make the first half of life easier.
By the time I reached my 60s, the lessons I had ignored for decades became impossible to avoid. Life has a way of insisting that you notice it, one way or another. I began to see clearly how much time I had spent worrying about things that didn't matter, and how little I had spent nurturing the parts of life that actually do. I remember sitting one evening in my study, alone, with a cup of tea growing cold. I looked at my hands that had built things, held people, worked tirelessly, and realized they had done much. Yes, but not always wisely. I thought of the friends I had drifted away from, the conversations never had, the quiet mornings wasted scrolling, working, or chasing distractions. A quiet sorrow washed over me. That's when I understood another truth. Regret is not about mistakes. It is about missed opportunities. Opportunities to say, I love you, to take that trip, to simply be present. I didn't regret that I had failed or stumbled. I regretted that I hadn't seen the value of the small, ordinary moments until they were slipping through my fingers. I wish someone had told me that it's okay to slow down, to breathe, to put down the tasks, the goals, the endless striving for approval, and simply live. I wish someone had reminded me that life is not a race, and success is not always measured in wealth or accolades. The richest lives are those filled with connection, curiosity, and presence. By 70, I finally started acting on these lessons. I reconnected with old friends, sometimes awkwardly, sometimes tearfully. I began to say the things I had left unsaid for decades. I stopped postponing joy. I took walks with no purpose, watched the sunset without thinking about tomorrow, and allowed myself to simply exist in the moment. It wasn't too late, but it would have been easier if I had started sooner. The difference is staggering. The small moments I had ignored in my 20s and 30s now feel monumental. A conversation, a laugh, a quiet cup of tea. These are treasures that only reveal their value after years of absence. I also realized the importance of health, not just body, but mind and spirit. For years, I had thought of self-care as indulgent or unnecessary. But by 70, I understood it as essential. Without it, every other lesson, every connection, every joyful moment is dulled by fatigue, stress, or distraction. I started walking daily, meditating, reading, and taking time to rest without guilt. These simple actions became the scaffolding for a life I could finally enjoy. And yet, even now, there is a bittersweet truth. I cannot reclaim the decades I spent living distracted, chasing illusions, and ignoring the quiet voice that said, slow down, pay attention, choose wisely. That time is gone, but it is still possible to live fully in the years that remain. So I share this story not to mourn what is lost, but to offer guidance to those who are still ahead of me. If you are in your 20s, 30s, 40s, or 50s, listen carefully. The choices you make today ripple through decades. Choose presence over distraction. Choose connection over approval. Choose the ordinary moments that build a life worth remembering. Every day you postpone love, joy, or kindness is a day that cannot be reclaimed. And the small things you dismiss as not important are often the very things that will matter most when you reach my age. At 72, I now live with intention. I take time to notice the sunlight on a wall, the way my dog rests beside me, the sound of a friend's laughter. I write letters to people I care about, sometimes unsent, sometimes delivered. I take care of my health not for vanity, but so I can experience each day fully. I embrace moments of stillness as if they were gifts, because they are. I also reflect often. I think about the young version of myself, rushing, worried, distracted, unaware. And I wish someone had whispered the truth in his ear. Slow down. Notice. Choose what matters. Don't wait for life to become urgent before you live it fully. And that is my wish for you, too. Don't wait. Don't assume there will be a later when you can finally live. The right time is now. The small moments are the milestones. The ordinary is extraordinary if you allow yourself to see it. So, here's my truth at 72. I wish someone had told me these things earlier. I wish I had recognized the value of the small moments. I wish I had been present more, worried less, and loved fully. But I cannot change the past. I can only choose the present. And in this present, I live fully, quietly grateful for what I have learned. And I hope my story can help someone else learn before it's too late.